or please leave for repercussions.
In this video, I'm gonna talk about the Ascent. The year is hypercapitalism, the month is cyberpunk, the day is meaningless, it is Devour Hour, the giant skyscraper you live in has fallen into a state of anarchy, and it is every man for himself. The only problem is that nobody got the memo, and so life went on like nothing happened. I wish I was kidding. You would expect that a collapse in the local government would result into a collapse of society. But the power is still on, the grocery store is still full of rice and beans, and everybody goes about their business like it was just a Tuesday. Not even the arrival of General M. Bison would make them lift an eyebrow. Camden, New Jersey was nothing but a warm-up. You might believe that you were setting yourself up for a tough-as-nails survival experience where every item counts. But most of these concerns have been swept away in favor of solving every problem you encounter using high-velocity projectiles. And I am not talking about the pitcher's fastball here. The things you find on the ground and the things you buy at the store are all about shooting bullets, protecting yourself against bullets, and performing fancy technological magic for whenever bullets are not enough for the job. Eventually, you come across things that shoot laser beams instead of bullets. But the principle remains the same. In practice, you will grab your starting equipment and then will never have to switch weapons or augmentations ever again. The tiny-ass pistol you begin with is objectively your best workhorse until the mid-game, if not more, and the super punch you unlock early on is just so powerful and fun to use that everything afterwards looks like a half-hearted attempt at bringing down the reigning champion. Naturally, you can use other stuff if you want to. It will simply reduce your damage per second, because your starting pistol is just bizarrely endowed with that much stopping power. Nonetheless, if a different playstyle calls out to you, you can make your selection between assault rifles, SMGs, miniguns, rocket launchers, hand cannons, and a few other interesting specimens, namely a rifle with a heat-seeking bullet. Loot Rain is completely absent. There are no variations in the items you find. If you found a gun, you found the only version of the gun, and all duplicates can be safely sold off for pocket money. It means that your items are unlocks more than anything else. And unlocking something more than once on the field means that you really just found a stack of money on the ground. The simplification game carries on to your statistics, in which it is possible in theory to max them all out, and you are likely to have a few of them topped off by the time you reach the endgame. Just the same, your cyber deck, quintessential item of all cyberpunk gaming, is activated and operated from start to finish with the push of a button. You heard me. There is no hacking minigame. The fat has been trimmed to such an extent that your cyber deck either works or it does not, and if it does not, then come back later with a bigger and better cyber deck and try again. It is all action all the time, and it means that you can pull out the keyboard and hack anything and anyone around you, even while in the middle of combat. It is a recommended practice, because doing so can actually give you an edge in the fight. Every avenue leads back to only two elements: breathtaking vistas at a universe I would love to explore, and shooting every single red dot that has the misfortune of landing into your minimap. Unless they are far above your level and one-shot you before you realize you just ran into a beef gate. Not to worry, however, because you simply respawn near a fast travel point and your entire progress has been saved. The worst that can happen is that you waste time running back to the spot and try again, but the more sensible approach is to simply go elsewhere and do other quests until you are at the proper level for the area. No matter what, if a beef gate stands in your way, you can take a path that goes around it, and the game itself will naturally bring you back to the spot later on when the timing is more appropriate. Keep rinsing and repeating for about 30 hours and you will have beaten the game. You will have done all the quests, you will have gotten most of the equipment, and your reward is to begin a new Game Plus if you want to completely max out all of your stats while fighting enemies that have been bullshitized to give you a new challenge. Considering that most of your deaths in a normal playthrough will have been bullshit to begin with, I am rather puzzled in the face of the design decision. But I am certain that the development team and Jack Daniels truly believed that it was a good idea. By far, the big exciter is the environment and how it paints a seemingly fascinating world. The hallmarks of the cyberpunk genre are all present and accounted for, and nearly every landmark silently begs for exploration despite all the doors being closed. There is potential for meat and potatoes in every single building, something more than just an entry into a lore codex that only a world-building Discord server will care about, and subsequently criticize with extreme prejudice. Meanwhile, the absolute legends at Sweet Justice Sound deserve a medal, 2 bottles of hard liquor, and a pay raise far in excess of the ass-fuck of an inflation rate that is ongoing now. The noises that I have heard in this game are the most impactful and satisfying noises I have heard since Gunstar Heroes, and I held on to the Super Punch ability simply because it sounded so good. You can choose to have buddies accompany you for the adventure, and although I have not been able to test my theory, I believe I can safely assume that it is a good way to have a fun with friends while having 0 higher functions going on in the brain. The idea is to be simple in design, in body, and especially in mind. That does not mean the story is necessarily childish. We are in a satire-free territory here. The corporations do not care about you, and they know exactly what they are doing. The common rabble attempts to find solace in the simpler pleasures of life, and most of them will never leave the slums they were born into. There is no law, and therefore no crime. There are only people who try to make it work as best as they can, and hope that they do not become the unfortunate victim of powers higher than they. Solving all of these problems is easy for you. It is easy, but hollow. It does not come with the satisfaction of having surmounted a challenge, because the path was often too straightforward. Most of your time has been spent on the setup and on getting from one place to another, but the punchline was an instant knockout in which nobody was around to return the favor. In short, this game is an imaginary argument that you win in the shower.